Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and the ranking member Hutchison for work on this important legislation, and to Senator Inouye, particularly for the Trash-Free Seas Act. And I know that everybody remembers the devastating impacts of this tsunami and Japanese earthquake that occurred, and obviously our sympathies continue to go out to those affected by it. And while it was one of the most profound natural disasters we have seen, and Japan is still recovering from that, it will take the U.S. many years to continue to see the impacts of this. That's because over 100,000 tons of debris from the tsunami is floating towards the United States. Whole communities were swept out to sea in an unwieldy mass of toxic debris. And the debris is everything from plastics in everyday life to refrigerators and even parts of cars and homes. And we are just starting to get a handle on this emerging threat, but we need to be much better prepared. What we do know is that this field is about 5 times the state of Washington, and we know that the debris will wash up on our Washington beaches, but on beaches everywhere from the Gulf of Alaska to the Baja, California, and even to Hawaii. And we know that approximate mass of debris is expected to reach Hawaii in early 2013. In Washington and Alaska, the debris will be coming ashore in 2014 as it continues to hit our coast. We can see this mass that is provided by the University of Hawaii Research Center, starting out here in Japan, and then as it continues here on 2013 to the 2015 date, when the mass is literally the entire coast and expected to reach the United States. So what the underlying legislation and the amendment will help us do is basically get a response plan for how the United States, with the current NOAA and EPA committee, work together to come up with a response plan. Just in Washington State, we think multi-billion-dollar industries such as fishing and ecosystem and shipping and transportation are all going to be affected by this. And we, in a Washington economy, depend on our waterways for a great deal of our commerce. We have everybody from workers at restaurants to tourist visits that are all going to be impacted by this. So we can't wait until all of this tsunami trash washes ashore. We need to have an aggressive plan on how we're going to deal with it. So I certainly appreciate the fact that this amendment was included in the legislation, and appreciate the hard work that was done by everybody on the underlying bill. And if I could, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank the chair and ranking member of the Coast Guard Subcommittee for the Coast Guard reauthorization bill, and continuing to focus on getting a authorization for icebreakers. This is a very important legislation, as both of my colleagues mentioned, and we've worked on this together now for several years, trying to get funding. But what's happening now is that we are seeing an approach by OMB and others to literally dismantle and defund the current icebreaker system. I think that that is premature. Our nation needs icebreakers. There are issues in the Arctic that are commerce issues about how we're going to get our transportation commerce through there. If we don't have an icebreaker system in the future, are we going to call the Russians and say one of our commercial ships are stuck? Mm-hmm. What are we going to do about the issues of oil interest as Russia and China and so many people go to the Arctic? Russia has moved many, many troops there. Chinese investor just bought part of Greenland. Are we going to wait till the Chinese and the Russians all stake particular claims? And while the Senator of Alaska and I may not agree on every issue as it relates to oil, I know this: if a major oil spill happens, I'm not sure how the Russians or the Chinese are going to respond to their care of the Arctic in the same way that I think that we would as the United States. And then lastly, it's a national security issue to have icebreakers. So I hope that we'll continue to work with the committee, with the ranking member, the subcommittee chairman, the full committee chairman and ranking member, to try to figure out how we can move forward on such an important national interest. And I know the senator from Alaska has a lot of ideas about how we can do that, so I look forward to working with him. Thank you.
Maybe we could redirect all of it towards Alaska. Actually, I don't mean even to use bad humor, but that is just staggering, Senator Cantwell. I haven't seen that in no magazine. I have not seen that until today. I've not heard about the subject in any magazine or newspaper that I at least have read, and it's gigantic. And is there a possibility that as it's moving across the ocean that we can, are there ways of?
Well, I think one of the reasons why the University of Hawaii has played such a leadership role in the research is they do feel like they're going to get impacted first, and so they're trying to do an assessment to the best of their ability. But clearly we need the help of NOAA and EPA and other agencies to work on a task force to come up with an assessment of what this damage will mean and what kind of effect it will have on us.
It's just overwhelming.
I'm going along the same line of the chairman's questioning if there's something that could stall it before it hits land, and maybe because it's bound to be affecting the environment in the ocean as it's going across. So,
well, hopefully this would be something that NOAA could look at, but you know, some of the estimates is that what it would just mean is continuous waves, and obviously when storms happen, it could be broken up, but just continuous waves would keep coming in of this level of debris. And for these maritime communities, fishing communities, tourism communities, it would have such an impact on them. So I think it's definitely something we need to prepare for.